Okay, so it's New Year's Day,
Yeah.
and we got some snow, like 4 inches, and it's about 19 or 20 degrees.
I wish we got this tonight.
So we built a hoop house for chickens, right?
Yep. In the
Okay,
fall.
you and I did it with Grandpa's help. Okay, it was about an afternoon project, and that's fairly inexpensive, right?
Yeah.
Um, Materials we had on hand and some hog panels. So, do you remember why we did this?
Why we got chickens?
No, why we
Or
did the hoop house instead of a more traditional coop.
it'd be easier to maintain and to keep the
Yeah.
chickens together so they could have a larger space.
Yep. So it's about how big? Do you remember?
I remember when we were measuring out. I want to say like 6 by 18.
Okay, it's 8 feet wide and 12 feet long, and seven feet tall. So there's plenty of room to move around in there. And we did this because it's cold here, right?
Yeah.
So we are zone 5A near 4. We're kind of right on the edge. So we get down into the teens overnight on a regular basis, and then we have a period where we get as much as like below or negative 25 degrees. So looking at the outside of it there, what did we cover it with?
We covered it with white tarp so that the sun can come through.
Okay,
And it stays
and
warm.
it stays fairly warm in there, right?
Mhm.
So it's overcast today, and the snow insulates the bottom, but it's just tarps over the hog panels, right? And how did we attach the tarps?
We will. In some spots we put like the rings on the screws.
Yeah.
And then, but for the majority of it, we use nylon rope so that we can just keep it on over it.
Yeah, we just kind of lashed it on with nylon cord,
It's
and
not
it
really secured with anything else.
no, and it does it hold up to the wind and the snow and the cold and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy, right? The tarps were about $9.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's two tarps covers the whole thing. It kind of makes a little greenhouse. Okay, should we see what the inside's like?
Sure.
See how warm it is?
Cheers.
Okay. So we'll give him a little treat. Leftover ice cream cone. Looks a little wild in here. Like they scratch some leaves into their water. We'll have to do some basic chores today. How long does it take us to clean up after the chickens and check in on them every day?
Well, checking in on them normally takes like 5 minutes because mostly we're just checking for eggs and then opening the door.
Yeah.
So the television.
Yep.
And then maintenance takes like on maybe a bad day, like 15 minutes.
Okay. So it's quick?
Yeah, it's really quick.
Okay, what are you gonna do right now?
I'm going to clear off the glass because chickens like their sun and being able to look out and see who came in.
Okay. So we have plexiglass on the door, right?
Yeah.
Is it froze?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's about 30 degrees in there. So one thing to consider, I put the plexiglass in there for multiple reasons. Like you said, it's to let light in because the chickens like sun to keep laying eggs.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you scratching off that plexiglass right now?
Frost.
Okay. And why do we want to keep an eye on frost?
Because if we're getting frost in here, it could chill the chickens.
Yeah, that's right. Because we don't heat the chickens.
We don't want them to get used to heat lamps.
Right, we don't want to get them so they're not acclimated. But what's one of the only things that bothers these chickens? Because they're pretty hardy. They're Buff Orpington, and it depends on your preference. Some people say ISA Browns, some people say ISA Browns. Are they cold hardy?
Once it gets too cold, no. They do their best.
If it's 25 below, maybe we'll need to hang a heat lamp in here. But in general, right now, it's 20 degrees. Are they cold?
Not really.
No.
I mean, if let outside, they'll probably want to come back in here.
But they're out of the wind.
Yeah.
And we keep an eye on the condensation because they get frostbite, and that's what's dangerous. So if it's really condensated on that glass, now they're fighting over the ice cream cone. If it gets really wet in here, then we need to vent it and let some of the moisture out. And what's one of the easiest ways for us to get the excess moisture out of this area here?
The vent back here, we got 2 vents down
Yep.
behind you.
And what's one thing we can do real quick with a bucket and a trowel to get rid of a bunch of moisture?
Get rid of all their poop.
Yeah, we get rid of all their poop. Because they poop where?
They poop in here, and sometimes they poop out here, but rarely.
They poop mostly in the roost when they're sleeping, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do a daily chore here and shake out the leaves out of the food bin. Is there any left in it, or did they eat it all?
Oh, no, there's stuff left.
Okay.
It's just hard to get these leaves out.
Here you go.
They're really in there.
Okay. Give it a little shake.
Food's a little gross too from the leaves.
Alright. Ready?
Oh, that's how you shake it.
They'll eat whatever falls out off the ground. They'll clean it up. Okay, you can hang their feeder again. Can you shut the
Yeah, I can
shut the door and show what's one of the only modern amenities we use for the chickens?
the heated water truck.
That's right, heated water. And we don't have to do heated water. We could come down and change out water several times a day, but we're kind of lazy in that regard, right? Because right next to you we got a thermometer to keep track. We have one in the roost and one in here, so we're looks like just a hair above 30 in here. So the water would probably freeze, not real fast, but it'd freeze. So you want to unplug that water.
You got ice on your turd.
Yeah, this condensation freezes to it. It's all right. Grab the water and we'll take that out and we'll dump out the excess leaves and mess. Okay, so let's walk through how cleaning this goes. I have that.
Yeah.
We designed this to be easy to clean, right? So what do?
Well, first we have laminate on the floor, like old flooring, so that it's easy to scoop into the bucket. So you take a trowel.
It's linoleum.
Well, yeah. So you take your trowel and you scoop your chicken poop into the bucket, which is fairly easy. And then sometimes clean out the nesting boxes, depending on how gross they are.
Yeah. How many nesting boxes do we have?
How many nesting boxes? We have 2. Unless you add more.
Okay, but is 2 enough?
Yeah, for now.
2's plenty?
Because we have 2 laying chickens.
Or we have
all laying chickens, but we only have 2 that are laying right now. So at the moment it's enough, but it won't be.
Okay. We'll do an explanation at some point of how we built this, but today it's just basic chores, right?
Yep.
Okay. What do we use for bedding?
We use leaves that we collected from our yard this fall.
And we just save them?
Yep.
Okay. Do we buy bedding and stuff?
No, we do not buy bedding. I wanted to hold the chickens, sorry.
Okay.
We do not buy bedding. It's just leftover leaves.
Yeah. Do the chickens like it?
Yeah. I mean, they don't hate it. You know?
Yeah. Okay. That's it. The roost is clean.
Sometimes you add the, what is it called?
Syrup, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all there is to it. Done. We'll go dump this on the compost pile. Okay. One other thought on keeping chickens warm in the cold. They've got plenty of insulation with their feathers. So they're curious and they're getting some treats, so they're up in their roost here. Here's the clean floor. Oh, she's taking off. After we just clean things out here, and then where they roost, where they perch, we've got various configurations of 2x4 here. Some flat and some on end. Chickens are like people. The ones that like the wider base where they can sit down over their feet and fluff their feathers up and stay warm will perch there. And if they prefer the 2x4 the short way, the narrow way, then they'll sit there. So I just give them a choice, and they puff all up and they sit down on their breastbone over their feet and stay warm overnight. And as you can see from the temperature, I have a big one in here so you can look through the window. It is not insulated. It is just CDX plywood. There's plenty of gaps in it that let air through. It's not airtight. It's not sealed up because the chicken's body heat keeps them plenty warm overnight. You don't want to seal it up too well because then the condensation can't get out and you have to start worrying about frostbite. All right, so we do the deep litter method here. And what's one way that we can keep the leaves turned over and composted without doing a lot of work?
The chickens will scratch it.
Yeah, and how do you coax them into turning it over?
You could use scratch, or I suppose you could use anything else as long as they pick at the ground.
Yep.
Don't use mealworms, those are expensive.
Yeah, mealworms are a little expensive. So if we put some food or treats or things that they have to pick at on the ground, they'll eat what they can see and then they'll scratch and dig to get the little pieces, right?
Yeah.
So one other benefit of, that should be plenty.
Yeah.
One other benefit of doing the deep litter method is, does it stink in here?
Not really.
No, generally it smells like leaves in here. It's pretty clean, it stays warm. And the chickens do the dirty work for you, right? Their feet are all dirty from digging around. They may make a little dust bath. They may throw leaves in their food and water in their grits and stuff, but they're doing the work for us, right?
Yeah.
Now that they've eaten some of the scratch, they'll dig a little to get the rest. And they'll make our compost for us that keeps this hoop house warmer. Okay, you've got a digital thermometer in your pocket, right? So it's about 30 degrees in here, 20 degrees outside. So the hoop house covered like this does tend to keep it pretty warm. So take your probe and stick it down in the ground.
take my.
Yeah, back up here. Where it's, you got some deep leaves. Stick the probe in there. Let's see what the soil temperature is.
Hi, I don't have anything for you. Okay, thermometer says it's 44 and it hasn't changed.
Okay.
It changed.
It's going to go down a little, but it's really quick. It reads fast. It's kind of a hillbilly way of doing this, but it gives an idea. All right. So if we were to go outside on the frozen ground and touch that to the ground, how cold do you think it'd be?
For Fahrenheit?
Yeah, for Fahrenheit.
I think it'd be closer to. I'm not good with estimating my temperatures.
Okay. It's 20 degrees outside. How cold do you think the ground is outside?
The ground, it would be. I think it'd be like closer to like 15, 10.
I think it'd be
No
pretty
idea.
close to 20.
I don't know.
All right. So how much warmer does the deep litter appear to keep things?
Like,
If it's 20 degrees outside and it's about 40, 42, 43 degree soil temperature in here.
it's like an extra 20 degrees.
Okay, so the deep litter is another way we avoid using electricity, right?
Yeah.
Okay.